Question 9. Make t the subject of the formula. From a topic called formula and variation, you are supposed to make t the subject of the formula. So the q and the t in this question are just variables or letters to get considered. And in terms of making any letter the subject of the formula, then that means it has to end up appearing on one side alone. And the other parts of this question have to actually end up getting to that point of being able to appear on the other side of the equal sign. So the first thing, if there's any square root that tends to appear anywhere in any formula that has to actually end up having a particular letter in that formula getting made the subject of the formula, then you have to remove that by actually squaring each and every part of that formula. So I shall first be able to square this part. Why? Because there's a square root here. Then this part with the square root should also be able to get squared, and the last part should also be able to get squared at the bottom of this. So we shall have q squared being equal to the square and the square root will actually be able to disappear. So we shall remain with t squared plus 1, then everything's divided by t squared. The next thing, remove the denominator. We shall be able to say times t squared, then times t squared. So the first thing, remove any square root appearing anywhere. The second step, we should be able to ensure that anything that appears at the bottom of any part of that formula that is actually in form of a fraction has to get removed. So that this part and this part will have to actually end up getting eliminated. Why? Because they are appearing on the same side of this equal sign. So we shall have t squared q squared being equal to t squared plus 1. Then because we want to make t the subject of the formula, we shall put on one side any part that has t and put any other part that does not have a t on that other side of the equal sign. So we shall be able to have this t squared getting put on this other side. So we shall be able to have t squared q squared less t squared being equal to 1. So if I actually factorize out t squared, I'm going to have t squared into, I should be left with q squared, then less 1 being equal to 1. So I'm going to have, at the end of the day, t squared getting divided on both sides. And that will not be able to give us the answer. So we shall have t squared into q squared minus 1 being equal to 1. So I divide both sides by q squared minus 1, divide both sides by q squared minus 1. So that means we are going to eliminate these two parts, then we shall be able to remain with 2 squared being equal to 1 over q squared minus 1. What do? I just introduce square root on both sides. Why? Because we've said that the t must be able to get made the square root oriented part of the one that appears on one side of the equal sign. Then that means this other part must be able to get left on one side. So that means for us to remain with the t squared, you're going to introduce a square root sign. And that means you're going to have t being equal to plus or minus, which has to actually get introduced when a square root is introduced, being able to get equal to the square root of plus or minus, of course, 1 over q squared minus 1. T should be equal to plus or minus the square root of 1 over q squared minus 1. So we were now to introduce a square root on both sides because our interest was to make t the subject of the formula, or t to be on one side of the equal side alone, and not t squared the subject of the formula. That is why I was forced to introduce a square root so that this square on this t can get eliminated. So that whenever a square root sign is introduced anywhere, then there must be a plus or minus getting introduced. Then later on, we can even be able to further say that this answer can further get written as t is equal to, then I'll actually be able to get the square root of 1 on my numerator side of this fraction part, so that I'll be able to get left with 1 then over, and since this is an expression with a q as a variable which is unknown to us, can actually get left the way it is as q squared minus 1 with its square root sign. Thank you. That now becomes further another form in which you can be able to write your answer.